Pato from Mid-Ohio, and Pato gets the early jump. Side by side, back there for third. Pato Ward chasing Pato.
Looking for that first Team Penske car. Scott McLaughlin in the black and red car going to the outside of the black and yellow car of Colton Herta.
Going to get that position down into turn 6. A little bit of lockup from Christian Lundgaard looking at the back of Alexander Rossi side by side through Thunder Alley. That is tough. They're going to have to sort it out here into turn 9. But Linus Lundqvist on the outside of Lundgaard. Same with the second Meyer Shank machine of Felix Rosenquist. All sorts of action at the back.
They all made it through 4, 5, 6 in the S's, and look at the jump that Pato already has. 5 car lengths on Award.
That light blue car, Indy 500 winner Joseph Newgarden, the PPG colors, making some moves early.
Nolan Siegel trying to hang it on the outside of the two-time champion. Now defending against, I believe that's Graham Rahal into turn 1. Rinus VeeKay going to take advantage. He gets Rahal into 1. That's going to leave him exposed down to the keyhole.
Contact there with Santino Ferrucci, I believe, in another car. And now Alexander Rossi getting passed by Christian Lundgaard.
How about that? Christian Lundgaard is replacing Alexander Rossi in that car. That's one of the storylines. Rossi is looking for work next year. Lundgaard is moving to Arrow McLaren, and he's got to run on Rasmussen.
Left side.
Some Christian on Christian maneuvers right there, but he overshoots it, does Lundgaard. Rasmussen trying to respond on the outside of 5. He'll have the inside for 6. But Lundgaard tries to hang it on, not going to be enough. Bold move.
But we're seeing the benefit of the new pavement at Mid-Ohio. That outside groove, especially at the start, nice and grippy. Later on, the marbles will accumulate outside, but it's nice and clean, and the grip is strong.
On the pylon to your left, you can see the graphics showing when drivers are regenning their charge on their hybrid system. That's when the green bar is on there. When it's red, they are deploying. They are using that energy to find a little more speed. Remember, 60 horsepower gain anytime you're using this new hybrid system.
Right on board the Gainbridge car for Colton Herta as we take a look at the Firestone telemetry and specifically the hybrid. Lower left-hand side, you'll see Colton Herta deploying. Well, no, he's not. He's saving it.
And this is what we're going to be learning throughout the race, just like the teams and drivers will be. And you can see as he gets off the throttle, onto the brake, it charges back up to 100%. Learning how and when you want to deploy, how and when you want to regen is going to be a big learning process throughout this race.
And they have hybrid, Kevin, and they also still have push to pass. When used together, it's about 120 additional horsepower.
And there's a limit to the amount of hybrid they can use per lap, as we see Herta use a little squirt there. It's essentially about 2 4.5 second bursts available per lap.
And you don't have to use it all in a full 4-second burst. You can do 1 second, 2 seconds off a corner, and then save the rest for later in the lap. Again, another thing for all these drivers to consider.
We're off and rolling, and Alex Palou has already opened up a 2-second lead here at Mid-Ohio.
And James, now he's comfortably in the window to pit and make it on just one more stop as Pato O'Ward fighting with his car. He gets the fuel alarm, so it'll be pit this time or probably the next lap.
All right, you hear the box call, and let's take a look at those gaps. That's going to be important. 5.6 seconds between Palou and O'Ward, with O'Ward being able, being able to do that extra lap, at least the overcut running longer. That could potentially increase that gap as a big lockup from the number 5 if it gets down to the 45-mile-an-hour PLC limit. And now it's time for the crew on pit lane to do their work, Charlie.
Absolutely. Here comes Pato O'Ward. They've got red sidewall Firestone alternates set out. That thing's full of Shell fuel, trying to go as much as they can. They add 2 turns of front wing. He's away. He's got a hold for the 66 of David Malukas coming in. Take a couple extra seconds as he launches cleanly.
And that's going to sting for Pato O'Ward. You're looking for every advantage as David Malukas gets a wing adjustment, but he stalls. Oh no, disaster.
So O'Ward loses a couple of seconds. Malukas is going to lose 5, 6, or 7 seconds.
And that'll mean several positions lost on track if this stays green and the other cars pit. Here comes Malukas blending back out. You see he's behind Linus Lundqvist, who already made his first stop on the 3-stop strategy and falls behind his teammate, Felix Rosenqvist.
Now again, those drivers on a completely different strategy, but still, you want that clean air if you can get it, and it was only a 1-lap difference between first and second as Georgia, the leader, Alex Palou, comes to pit lane.
And the dominant leader is that he has taken complete control of this race. He's going to reach the 10 team. They are ready for him with those Firestone red tires. He pulls into his pit box. The Shell fuel goes in. They make that pit stop. Those Firestone reds go on. The blacks come off. They fill it up, and he's left his pit box. No stall.
Well, a little bit scattered there. Palou probably lost a couple of seconds, but he certainly didn't lose 6 seconds. You saw an issue with the right front. Gun got jammed, a little bit of a stumble from the tire changer, and here's Colton Herta on pit lane.
Remember, guys, Pato O'Ward had to hold his outside front. Brendan Cleve, very heads up, seeing Malukas coming down pit lane, held him. He probably lost 2.5 seconds sitting there stationary, so should have still come out plenty ahead of Pato O'Ward, and we can see it on the monitor. He has comfortably in front right now.
And there you see Colton Herta with Josef Newgarden. Newgarden, the leader of the 3-stop strategy, as these guys, Rasmussen and Ericsson, are side by side.
What a move from Marcus Ericsson on the outside of the keyhole, hard on the brakes. Now he's going to have to defend into turn 4. We saw some nifty driving from the Dane Christian Rasmussen earlier, but now it's the Swede Marcus Ericsson making some moves. Using those softer red tires to good effect. And now Rasmussen, going to be under attack from, I believe that's Marcus Armstrong directly behind him.
Meanwhile, Scott McLaughlin is not pitted yet. Oftentimes here, staying out longer, called the overcut, has worked. So we're really going to take a look at the blend as McLaughlin, who was running 5th before it started, as he made up some ground.
Yeah, that overcut from McLaughlin relies on blisteringly quick lap times to pull it off, and he just turned the fastest lap of the race at a 107.2.
So look, a little bit of a holdup for Palou, big holdup for Pato O'Ward, and an extraordinarily large holdup for David Malukas. Scott McLaughlin, he was running 5th on track before this pit sequence started. It'll be interesting to see where he cycles out, because this overcut's going to be powerful, along with a lot of the drivers in front of him having some issues on pit lanes.
Let's watch here. What does McLaughlin do? Does he come to the box, or can he squeeze out one more fast lap? Got to come in.
To the box, the Sancio on board showing you how tight it is as you get into pit lane here at Mid-Ohio. And Georgia, he's coming to you. This is going to be an important stop for the Thirsty Threes.
It's going to be so important. You saw how frustrated he was in qualifying yesterday. That's because he knew he had a fast car. He started 6th. He's currently 5th before this pit stop. Those Firestones red went right on. They're filling it up with that Shell fuel.
So Palou has easily gone by. So has Pato O'Ward, but he's got a chance to come out 3rd out of this in front of Colton Herta. So +2 on the exchange for Scott McLaughlin.
Yeah, Malukas' issues obviously were going to push him back, but he, on pace, on merit, got ahead of the Gamebridge Honda of Colton Herta. The overcut working so far for the Penske guys.
First round of stops done. Some are doing it on 2. Some will need 3 here today at Mid-Ohio. Alex Palou still in front of Pato O'Ward, but that gap is starting to tighten a little bit here in the second stint of the race.
Was at about 4.5 seconds, now down to just 3 seconds, as thanks to NTT, we take a look at the last 3 lap times between Palou and O'Ward. And on that last lap, O'Ward about a 10th quicker, as now he's in view. So for Alex Palou, it's been pretty easy dealing up front, but if he looks in his rearview mirror now, Georgia, he can see that papaya and black Arrow McLaren drawing ever closer. I gotta wonder, are tires becoming an issue for the leader?
Well, I just talked to Barry Wanzer. He said that the red tires are actually holding on longer than they anticipated. He's probably going to come in the next 5 to 6 laps for that last stint, but all things considered, Barry Wanzer's happy with how the reds are holding up.
But Alex Palou is finding the tail end of the lead lap traffic. Unfortunately for Pato O'Ward, that first car he encounters, Palou, is his teammate, Kiffin Simpson. So we'll see what Chip Ganassi does as a team here. Still about 3 to 4 laps before they make their last stop, James, and those front Firestone reds are looking well used for Alex Palou.
They certainly are, but he's got to, I mean, look, the gap's down to 2.6 now. It really is heading that direction. Here's the thing, if I'm Palou, maybe starting to be nervous about the trend of what's happening behind me with O'Ward, but at the same time, think back to that first end when they were both in the primaries, big advantage to the 10 car and Alex Palou. So I'm not stressed yet.
This is where the pressure comes for the teams on pit lane, Kevin. When we come back, it's going to be guns a-blazing.
Things are tightening up at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That gap for Alex Palou that was over 5 seconds. We noticed that it was at 3 a few laps ago. Now is down to a second. Pato O'Ward can see Alex Palou, who has controlled throughout the day.
This is an impressive run from O'Ward now, just a second behind Palou. Clearly liking these red tires better than the number 10 car. Now, again, you think back to the first stint on the primaries, advantage Palou, but look, the track's changed, the temperatures come up, rubber's gone down. There's a chance that the setup on that 5 car is just coming to Pato.
And we're in lap 52, so we're in the window now to make your final stop, and it's close enough now, guys, that Palou really has no advantage. It's going to come down to in-laps, out-laps, and what the team can accomplish on pit lane with fuel and tires.
And look, we know they're going to be using the hybrid. They do it almost every lap, but how about push to pass? 176 for Pato O'Ward, 151 for Palou. So advantage to the 5 car when they start getting to a place where they're pushing the button to defend and attack. This is a proper race now, guys. It's just going to put even more pressure on the teams in pit lane as well. A 1 second delta on the racetrack, that's an easy thing to lose or gain when you're in the pits.
2 laps ago, O'Ward was a half a second better. This last lap, 0.6 of a second better. Pato O'Ward is coming.
So here's the problem for Palou. You think, okay, fine, get in, get off those and onto the primaries, but O'Ward's pace is so good, you give him that clean air, he could use the overcut to his advantage. It's going to be interesting to see who blinks first in this battle. You really don't want to be the first one to pit lane.
But somebody else deeper down in the field is about to gamble and be the first to make their last stop, put these guys in the danger zone for a lap, so that might also force Alex Palou and Chip Ganassi to cover. 54 laps complete, still no takers on pit lane as Palou and O'Ward might make a move even this lap.
He's close. Also of note, Marcus Ericsson just got by Colton Herta, so Ericsson for Ganassi, or for Andretti, the former Ganassi driver, is having a strong day. But the story is up front. Pato O'Ward within 3 or 4 car lengths, not close enough this time. When will they make their final stop?
It's got to be soon. I mean, it is going to be soon, but...
And now you see cars on pit lane, I believe.
You heard Barry Wanzer on Palou's radio say he's using more fuel to catch up to you, so that's what's going to be the difference. And that's Will Anderson. That's the number 5 car. Pato O'Ward will be pitting this lap if Palou can stay out.
Does Palou cover? You heard Pato O'Ward confirm. No, Palou stays out. Game on.
Now it's down to the drivers, in laps, out laps, and the teams on pit lane. Charlie, Pato O'Ward coming to you.
This is the money stop for the McLaren team. The 5 car, Pato O'Ward comes into his box, slides right onto the marks. Primaries going on, and when aeroscreen tear off, it's full of fuel, and they're waiting on fuel. Clean launch for the 5 car and Pato O'Ward. Money stop for the Aero McLaren team.
That looks super
push on
clean.
the outlap here, push.
There goes Scott Dixon.
Whoa.
Palou, traffic on his in lap. That is Will Power.
Not what he wanted to see at all. Managed to get around, and Power was on an out lap. Shouldn't have held him up too much, but still, you don't want any dirty air if you don't have to on an in lap.
Meanwhile, on racetrack, Pato O'Ward is behind Scott Dixon on his out lap. Chip Ganassi teammate to Alex Palou.
But at 22 laps down, that's a command blue flag. There's not much gamesmanship that can be played, and that's not the kind of thing Scott Dixon is known for anyway. I don't suspect that to be a problem, but right now it's all in O'Ward's hands to try and make that gap up. It's got to be a fast out lap for O'Ward, and now the race leader is coming to Georgia.
Alex Palou comes to pit lane, and this pit stop is going to make or break this for him. It's so important for the 10 team to nail this, and as he makes his way to his team, the Firestone red tires come off. Those primaries are going to go right back on. They're filling it up with Shell fuel, and
Oh no!
there was a little bit of a delay there.
Georgia, a big delay. Look at this, there's gonna be a battle going up the hill.
Pato O'Ward coming through turn 1. He's got warmer tires. Pato O'Ward to the front has gotten around Alex Palou. A lead change at Mid-Ohio, and O'Ward has turned the table.
We talk about how important these green flag pit cycles are. Pato O'Ward doing everything that he had to do. Just a small hiccup in the pit box of the 10
Top
car.
here we go. Once we're not under pressure, 86. Fuel 86.
And now he's still got a lap warmer tires. This section they're coming up to, Palou's going to struggle through here on this outlap. In comparison,
No pressure.
this gap is going to grow.
Alex Palou controlled the first 2/3 on the pit exchange. Pato O'Ward faster on in-laps, out-laps, a better pit stop. He's in front. Errol McLaren leading Chip Ganassi Racing, but Palou is back on the charge and is within 3 car lengths.
What I love about this is we see Palou dominate from the front. We see him control races and the pace out in clean air. We don't often get to see him get his elbows out, have to force the issue, and make passes for the lead on the racetrack. Very Scott Dixon in that way. He's won a lot of races through pit cycles and strategy and just pure pace out front, but now he's got that pace in the race car, but he's got to go against one of the toughest guys to pass in the series, and Pato O'Ward, who is hungry for that first on-track finish.
Efficient overtake out of 2.
So information coming there for Alex Palou, and for Pato O'Ward. He is hungry and he is healthy on push to pass. 11 seconds to the good is his advantage in terms of seconds remaining. 106 to 95 over Palou.
And keep in mind, these two cars have almost identical pace. It was the closest qualifying for the front row in the modern era, the Firestone Fast 6 over the last almost 20 years. Alex Palou won the pole yesterday by 2 1/1000ths of a second, 0.002.
We always talk about how calm this driver is in tough situations. Look, he's going to be thrilled that he's got a car as fast as he does. He's going to be furious at what happened in that pit stop. It's a tempestuous kind of feeling that he's got in that race car, conflicting emotions, but he's got to keep them in check as he goes to try to chase down O'Ward for this victory.
And up ahead, you see some traffic. That's Kiffin Simpson and Augie Canapino. Normally at Mid-Ohio, Kevin, we see lap cars a real factor in the closing stages, but today the field is so close on pace. In fact, Kiffin Simpson just did a 107.9. That effectively matched the last lap from Pato O'Ward and Alex Palou.
Just a note on Joseph Newgarden. We knew he had to make another stop. He had a little bit of off, lost some position. He came out 11th, but now he is running in 25th after serving the penalty because he sped on pit lane, entering the pit. So bad to worse for Newgarden.
And a lap down is Joseph Newgarden now to the leaders as Alex Palou gets all kinds of squirrely out of the final corner, turn 13. I think he took a little too much exit curb. And if you do that, you sort of high center on the bottom of the car, and it was a handful.
By the way, Newgarden sped serving the penalty and got another one.
Oh no, insult to injury for the 2 team. But up front, Palou doing everything he can. Look, when you're driving around a track that's got fast flowing corners like Mid-Ohio.
3 seconds of overtake behind. Good fuel number, good lap time.
Let's take a look at this, James, from Alex Palou. That could have easily gotten away from him and into the inside concrete wall. Nice save from Palou. One thing's for sure, he's trying. He's doing everything he can to catch the 5 car.
He's pushing 10/10ths, but Pato got a bit of breathing room after that small mistake, and maybe there's a chance that O'Ward's just overheated his tires running so close to O'Ward.
Did Palou just overheat his tires? Is he pushing too hard? I've heard the drivers talk about exceeding the thermal limit of the tire and never being able to bring it back. I looked at track temp. It's 125 degrees out there on this new track surface. So you can push hard, but there's a penalty if you overdo it.
Well, for Pato O'Ward and Errol McLaren, it has been a little while. I mentioned that it's been 2 years since he's crossed the line first. Same for the team. This team with a big budget, with so many resources. They have hired drivers, employees from other teams, but they've not been able to match Ganassi and Penske most of the time. They've been close. Can today become a breakthrough day for them?
Well, that number 5, if you can believe it, car number 5, Pato O'Ward has 5 wins, 5 poles, trying to break that 5 streak. certainly looks to be on for it today as that traffic draws ever closer. And James, with 12 to go, I think this whole story here is likely to develop into something bigger, potentially an issue for Pato O'Ward to try to get by.
So this is what's very important to remember. The two cars in front, Agustin Canapino in the black and green Juncos Hollinger entry. Behind him, Chip Ganassi Racing's Kiffin Simpson. Those drivers are still on the lead lap. In IndyCar rules, you do not have to cede to the leader unless you are a lap down to the entire field. These drivers are not a lap down at all. So they are racing themselves for position. They're on track, fighting over 22nd and 23rd place. I know it might not seem like much, but when you're in the race car, you're racing the guy in front of you no matter what. There is no rule implementation that would allow them to force them to move over. It is totally up to the driver's discretion if they want to play ball or focus on their race.
And a lot of times it comes down to how much hate do you want to establish with the rest of the field, the leaders in this case, that might pay you back in the wrong way later on this season. As the strategist, Barry Wanzer there for Alex Palou.
Will Anderson.
Will Anderson for Arrow McLaren. They're studying, they're looking at data, they're measuring lap time, they're thinking about traffic, but there's not much they can do to help their drivers at this point. It's a straight up race to the finish.
10 to go as they cross the line for Pato O'Ward. And he is only a few seconds on track behind Kiffin Simpson.
Now Canapino may have to pit. He would need a pretty good fuel save to be able to get home. So that's going to clear one, and maybe Simpson has the pace where he might not impact things.
10 laps to go, 10 to go.
Catching the tail end of the field there, Simpson and Canapino.
So you're hearing Will Anderson and Barry Wanzer at the same time, and now Pato O'Ward is absolutely in the dirty air, the wake of Kiffin Simpson. He'll feel on the front end of his race car that front wing is less effective. What does that do? He starts to pick up understeer. The car does start to squirm around more, becomes less efficient on the track, and starts to chew up his Firestones that little bit more.
The papaya and black car is O'Ward, the leader, right in front. At the tail end of the lead lap is Kiffin Simpson, a Ganassi teammate, to the green car of Alex Palou within 2 car lengths again.
Palou really went for it in the brake zone there for the keyhole turn 2, but he loses on the exit. Not only do you have to drive with incredible technique right now, James, you have to think. As a driver, you got to think through. You got to think 2 laps ahead, a corner ahead, looking in your mirrors, trying to game the system here. How do I protect what I have, or how do I attack in the case of Palou?
You could throw a blanket over the top 2 right now. 5 laps to go, about 50 or 60 seconds of push to pass. That's the thinking as he goes wide. Palou drops 2 wheels out of turn 9. That's going to cost him half a second at least.
That's the second time this stint, Kevin, that Alex Palou has pushed too much. Remember, he did it earlier in the final corner in turn 13. He almost threw it away.
I was just going to ask, how aggressive will Palou be as points run? He has a 48-point lead on Will Power in the championship. Palou is going after it. He wants to win.
He is not resting on his laurels. He's not sitting and having a cruise and collect points day. He wants to go for the big trophy.
But it feels like every time Palou tries to push a little bit more than what the Firestones will handle, they penalize him for a lap or 2. They get hot, and he's got to settle back down, drop back to some cleaner air, and then he charges again.
O'Ward is doing a great job in this scenario, not getting too heated, not making a mistake, as frustrated as he must be with 2 lap cars in front of him as he's trying to hang on for a race win here. He is managing expectations, he's managing his emotions, he is hitting his marks, doing everything he has to do right now, but Palou definitely has a little more pace on these primary tires.
It's got to be close for Canapino. They need to make his last stop. He can't be saving fuel keeping up this kind of pace.
And for Pato O'Ward and Alex Palou, now you start doing math. In addition to driving at the limit, you think 4 laps to go, 3 laps at the line. I've got 50 seconds.
3 to go.
50 seconds of push to pass. How much can I use each lap on average? You really start to project out to that final corner of the last lap.
And who understands the hybrid the best? This is brand new today. A hybrid component is available for an extra 60 horsepower, essentially a push to pass for about 4 or 5 seconds with a limit per lap. So it can be used about 2 times a lap. Here's Palou with a little bit of a run. into turn 4. This is the best passing zone, but no chance here.
Here's the advantage that Award has. For as much as he's dealing with the disadvantage of the dirty air off of Kiffin Simpson's car, he has enough push to pass to use it on every one of the major straightaways remaining. Plus, he has the draft. If he was out front on his own, pushing a big hole into that air, even with the push to pass, I believe that it would be much easier for Palou to try to close that gap and make a lunge into 4. But by having a little bit of a toe, it's helping him with that top end speed to make it harder for Palou to mount a charge.
Meanwhile, Kevin, Augustine Canapino, if he can finish, there's only 2 laps left.
No fuel worries. 2
He'll
laps
do
to go.
31 laps to finish this stint. That mileage, superior.
Very, very impressive. And we are at about 4 miles remaining in this race. Less than 2 laps to go. With those at the end of the lead lap, they don't have to get out of the way in front of the 2 leaders. The orange and black, the papaya and black car of Pato Award. Errol McLaren is leading. Alex Palou. Meanwhile, moments ago, that's Romain Grosjean going around.
Contact with the wall. It looked like maybe light contact. What does race control do here?
We're going to see the white flag this time by. Can we stay green? Grosjean still running. Comes out right in front of Nolan Siegel.
And the leaders. That'll stack things up even more.
That was a replay. That was a little bit earlier. That was not a live picture. That was the last time by turn 9. As Pato Award comes down the hill now into 12. He'll cross the line to get the white flag. 1 to go. Time running out for Palou.
And they stack up even tighter, Kevin. White flag.
White flag, white flag.
Palou versus Award for the win.
1 to go. Is it going to be Pato Award and Errol McLaren winning on track for the first time in 2 years? Or is Palou going to take even more control in the championship and go back-to-back in Mid-Ohio and back-to-back in the season? He won 2 weeks ago at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. This is one of the last best passing zones, and Palou is not close enough. Award may have to deal with Simpson right in front of him.
But it seems like Canapino is slowing down even a little bit more to try to make it to the finish on fuel. So this is really going to back things up as they come through turn 6.
That was a chance right there down the hill into 6. Bit of a defensive line from Award. It was just enough to keep Palou at bay, and I don't know if there's any opportunities left.
And keep an eye on that green and black car of Canapino. He might run out of fuel and start coasting, and he does get out of the way. So Simpson is in front, the teammate at Ganassi of Alex Palou. A couple of corners left. Pato Award by 2 car lengths on the main straightaway. He weaves, he wiggles, Award wins! McLaren!
Checkered flag, you just won at Mid-Ohio, buddy.
And toppled Alex Palou at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, boy! Long time coming. Long time coming. Enjoy it.
Pato Award victorious once again in the NTT IndyCar Series. Congratulations, and a well-deserved congratulations from his team, pushing so strongly. The last half of that race, realistically, the team's strategy totally on point. The pit stops on point, everything on point. His first win since St. Pete this year, his first win on track since Iowa 2022, and it's time to celebrate. This year has just been an emotional roller coaster for you. The hard work, the effort, it has finally paid off. You have made your way to victory lane again. What are the feelings?
Yeah, it was that was a hard-fought race. We were really, really strong on the reds. Palou was really, really strong on the blacks. So all I needed to do was just kind of stay at bay in the first stint and then come into the pits and put those reds on, kind of try and close the gap, and then, you know, get him in the pit stop sequence and or on track, you know. But great job by the team. It's been a while. I know we won St. Pete, but this is a proper win. We earned this one this weekend.
This team was on point this weekend, and more specifically today. Earlier this week, you told me this was the best car that you rolled off the truck with. Is this just a product of the effort and hard work going into this program?
Yeah, I felt very comfortable with the car this weekend, and you know, from the second practice, to be honest, going into qualifying, we executed, and I knew I had a really strong car under me for the race, so hats off to Aaron McLaren to give me a rocket.
Got a little hairy there in that last corner. Was that for show or just a product of how hard you were pushing?
No, we were pushing. We were pushing, and then, you know, we caught the traffic, couldn't quite get by him, and yeah, that was we said in that one.
We go to Iowa next, where you got your last on-track win. Where does this put your confidence level?
Yeah, I mean, Iowa repave. We'll see what it's got in store for us.
Congratulations, Pato Award and the whole Arrow McLaren #5 Chevrolet team.
Up next is the Hy-Vee Homefront 250, Saturday, July 13th. Watch it at 8 p.m. on NBC.